Hello everyone! This is Saurian Target welcoming you back to another episode of Hunting Highlights, where this week, we're back playing some more Carnivores Legacy, and we're doing something a little bit different today. I've been playing a lot of Carnivores Legacy lately and actually managed to take down quite a few new trophies. But the hunts where I've gotten those trophies haven't been very exciting on the whole. So today, we're gonna mix up the format a little bit and take a trophy room tour, stopping at each display to look back and see how each trophy dinosaur was taken down. So without further ado, let's head on over to the trophy room. Alright, we are here in our Legacy trophy room, and the first new additions are actually going to be both of these Pachycephalosaurus. We'll start with our most recent trophy upgrade added just a couple of days ago, the left-hand head-butting Pachycephalosaurus. Up by the northern Basmachi shoreline, I spot this giant 1.63-ton Pachycephalosaurus grazing on a hillside out ahead of me. A quick dinosaur call turns it back in my direction, and now I wait for a shot opening. Unfortunately, by the time I get my gear sorted, the dinosaur has turned away again, and I spy a velociraptor hunting among the hills. The pressure is on now. I don't want to have to defend this kill from a potential pack of raptors. One throat shot drops the Pachy, and I hope the noise was enough to scare away however many raptors were out there. Just in case there is a fight, I cling to the mountainside, but the coast turns out to be clear, so I can now go add this giant to my trophy room. So I used to have a 1.49-ton Pachycephalosaurus in this spot, dropped him back in an April episode of Hunting Highlights, but what prompted me to take that trophy down was this guy, a 1.60-ton Pachy that I took down just last month. Just after the Laylapse hunt that we'll get to in a few minutes, I spotted a glimpse of this giant Pachycephalosaurus out in the low-lying hills of Basmachi Rocks. My wind is good, so I use a dinosaur call to try and lure it in closer to where I'm hiding. I can still hear various dinosaur sounds around me, so I'm trying to stay low and get to a higher vantage point while I keep an eye on my surroundings. This Pachy does not seem to be cooperating, but just when I try a second dinosaur call, it emerges over the hill in front of me and promptly disappears again. Suddenly, it's right in front of me, and goes down to one rifle shot. You may have noticed that I like hunting Pachycephalosaurus on Basmachi Rocks, and I'm very glad to have gotten my two biggest Pachycephalosaurs on that island. So now we'll just work our way down the gallery, moving on to this gigantic 13.10-ton Stegosaurus that technically I shouldn't even have. I actually stumbled across this stego while hunting more dangerous game in the central woods of Turan Chalks. If you've ever hunted carnivore stegosaurs, you know that it's just a game of patience while you wait for a nice clean headshot. With nothing else charging in to contest the kill, I head on over to claim my prize. Now, I know stegos can reach 15 tons, but 13 is the largest that I've seen in Legacy yet, and I think is going to make a great standard going forward. Unfortunately, about a minute later, my recording software randomly malfunctioned and closed my game on me, which I've never had happen before, but if it's anything like a game crash, I'm expecting to have lost my Stegosaurus trophy. However, when I came back to the trophy room, the Stegosaurus was there. I have no idea how that happened, but I'm not gonna complain and I'm not gonna question it. I'm just glad that I actually got to keep this monster. I don't have any Allosaurs yet, although I did take down an almost max weight Allo, literally 0.01 ton away, but lost it to a game crash, which gutted me. I also lost a gigantic 0.45 ton Velociraptor in that exact same hunt. And as you can see, I don't have any trikes either. For some reason, in all my time playing Legacy, I have never seen a trike heavier than 4.5 tons. If Legacy is using the original Carnivores 1 size stats, like I assume it is, then I know trikes max out at 6.48 tons. But every trike I've seen has been somewhere between 2 and 4.5 tons. So I'm still holding out for an at least 6 to 6.5 ton trike. Now I'm really excited about this display, the Velociraptors. The story behind these guys is really cool. We'll start with this 0.41 ton raptor. This is why I always draw my self-defense weapons whenever I first spawn into a hunt. Luckily, this raptor was alone, and as you can see by my call icons, I'm not even hunting raptors right now. But she's a big one, just 0.07 shy of max weight, so I'll happily take her back to the trophy room, after I make sure that I don't have to defend the kill. Spawn-in ambushes can be fun if you survive them, but this one might be my favorite Carnivores raptor kill ever. Out on the grounds of the ancient temple itself, I hear the shrill shriek of a Velociraptor, and this one's not alone. A pack of 3, and one of them is a giant. I'm not sure the best way to simultaneously handle 3 raptors that are so spread out, so my thought process is to snipe one and then close combat the other 2. But unfortunately, the Carnivores don't even give me the chance. Luckily, the third raptor lags behind, giving me the spacing I need to take down all 3. The second one turns out to be the big one I saw earlier, and I happily claim her and leave her smaller packmates behind. Getting to hunt and defeat a pack of Velociraptors right in front of the temple that once worshipped them, with one of those raptors being a personal best, is just a quintessential bucket list Carnivores experience. I'm saving this third spot for one of the Velociraptor underlings that hang around the mythical raptor. That's gonna be an insane battle if I survive it. And now we'll check out my progress on one of the coolest displays in the gallery, the leaping Laylaps. While stalking a small Triceratops along the northern shore of Basmachi Rocks, I spot a lone Pachycephalosaurus as well as a pair of Laylaps. The wind is terrible, and I know it's only a matter of time before the predators pick up my scent. But I stay low for as long as I can and try my best to keep the path between us free of obstacles, so that when they do charge, nothing's gonna be in the way to block my shots. Instead of waiting for them to smell me out, I draw my sniper and decide to initiate the fight. I absolutely fumbled that expo draw. That was a total accident, and yet somehow managed to drop both Laylaps. One through sheer damage, and the other with a vital hit. I ended up claiming them both here. I do like the idea of having both Laylaps in a pair on display together in the gallery, but I decided to remove the smaller one later, as I've seen a few Laylaps since then that do cross that 0.70 ton mark. I also had this happen while Laylaps hunting, which I thought was pretty funny. Alright, let's now go check out a dinosaur that I am shocked is as big as it is. A 5.21 ton Majungatholus who I kinda cheesed to bring down. This guy was on me literally as soon as I spawned in, just across one of Basmachi's man-made bridges. Now, dinosaurs are notoriously bad at crossing bridges, so I knew I could get close and take my time relatively risk-free. That throat pouch vital area is a lot harder to hit than I thought it was gonna be. After expending most of my shotgun ammo, sheer force finally brings this guy down. And oh my word, he's a giant! I've literally seen full-grown Carnivores that weigh less than this guy. In fact, most of Legacy's predators weigh less than this random Majungatholus. I was thrilled to be able to down him and claim him. The weight on this guy is insane. He's actually heavier than both of my Styracosaurus. And the one on the right is not only a new addition, but a new personal best by exactly 0.30 tons. Just to the south of where I killed that Majungatholus, but in a different hunt, I could hear some heavy grumbling coming from just over the hills in front of me. So I kept the revolver at the ready and crept forward. Finally, I confirm it's a Styracosaurus, but although I can tell it's a big one, my binoculars can't pick up its exact weight yet. Now, I don't want to get too tunnel-visioned and fall victim to an ambush, so after checking my surroundings, I stay crouched as I ascend the hill and wait for the dinosaur to expose its throat. One rifle shot brings the horned dinosaur down, and it looks huge, so I'm very excited to confirm its weight. Just shy of 5 tons makes it a new personal best, and that will complete my Styracosaurus display. But before I can start celebrating, I hear the low purr of a Laylaps hunting nearby. I frantically start scanning the horizon, but I still can't see the carnivore anywhere, so I scramble back up the hill and prepare to defend my kill. Hopefully the guys in the trophy ship enjoyed that. It's a decent-sized Laylaps, but I decide to leave it and hope for a bigger one later. Such an awesome display, and I love just how close their nose horns get without actually puncturing each other. That's just so awesome, and makes me pretty confident that I've got some huge Styracosaurus in here, because if these guys were any bigger, I think they'd have some clipping issues. Next up is my personal favorite FMM ankylosaur, Scolosaurus, who had a long and terrifying track to bring down. Just a few minutes after my spawn-in raptor ambush, I spot a rock out on the beach that doesn't look quite right, and it turns out to be a Scolosaurus. Unfortunately, it's not presenting me with a good shot angle, but if I can get closer and just sneak a bullet into its softer underbelly whenever it turns, I should be okay. After it clears this rock, I'm going for the shot. Unfortunately, it's staying perfectly concealed behind said rock. No good on the shot, so we're gonna have to run the little guy down. The blood trail should be very easy to follow out here on the bright Gravitsappen beach. Unfortunately, he's leading us towards a colony of resting Plesiosaurus, and in the process, I spot another smaller Scolosaurus not too far off. And this is why I always swap to a self-defense weapon when on the move. Everything on the beach is panicked now, myself included, but I keep after my wounded Scolosaurus. When I come back for that Dilophosaurus later, it turns out to be pretty small anyway. I finally catch up with my Scolosaurus at the shoreline, and exhausted from the heat and blood loss, he turns to fight for his life. Credit where it's due, this guy took a beating. But finally, the small Ankylosaur goes down. And I'll proudly display this tough little fighter back in the gallery. And finally, for the first floor, we've got what I think is a giant 7.32 ton Trachodon, the biggest one I've ever seen by far. Once again, I was out in the jungles of Gravitsappa, coming up on one of those pocket jungles that's compressed down in a shallow ravine, and over the roar of giant mosquitoes, I could hear some heavy footsteps just up ahead. Through the trees, I can see it's a feeding Trachodon, and at 7.32 tons, it's the largest of these duck-billed dinosaurs I've ever encountered. No contest. Unfortunately, it is on the move and trying to get out of the ravine itself, not to mention staying perfectly concealed behind all those trees, so I need it to stop out in the open if I'm gonna even hope for a good shot. I'm not sure where to aim for a vital hit on a Trachodon. Other similar hadrosaurs usually go down to neck or spine shots. So when this one stops, I'm gonna try to drop a bullet in just above the shoulder. No good, and I can now see that it's desperately trying to get out of that ravine. But I'm hoping that it might actually be trapped in there and give me a closer shot. So, into the ravine I descend. I am wary of the swarm of giant mosquitoes in the brush nearby, and unfortunately, it looks like the Trachodon did manage to get out of the ravine, leaving me trapped down here with a swarm of hungry, blood-sucking bugs. I definitely don't want to hang around here too long, so I stick close to the edge and look for an easier way out. Luckily, I do manage to find a shallow rise that leads up out of the ravine, and head on over to where the Trachodon escaped, pick up its blood trail, and the hunt continues. For a wounded dinosaur, it's covered some good distance, but when it finally reappears out of the fog, I decide to go for a headshot this time. Bullseye! Now I can go claim my prize. So that's it for the ground level trophies. Now let's head on up the stairs and check out the overlook trophies up on the second floor. Our first one up here is going to be another recent kill that I think is quite impressive. A gigantic 10-ton Polacanthus that I also had to sneak between swarms of blood-sucking insects to hunt down. While working my way through the jungles of Gravitsappa, I spot a swarm of giant mosquitoes to my left, and a huge 10-ton Polacanthus dead ahead out on a distant hillside. But I discover another swarm immediately to my right, bottlenecking me into a very specific, straightforward path. So I press on and hope for the best, as luckily, the dinosaur has disappeared behind a large hill, so I should be able to move a little bit quicker without it seeing me. Finally out of reach of the mosquitoes, I can start stalking in for a closer shot. But I keep the shotgun at the ready just in case the Polacanthus senses me first and comes charging over this hill. I find the herbivore grazing just around the bend. After accidentally standing and spooking it, the Polacanthus succumbs to the shotgun's might with little resistance, and I claim the big bruiser for my trophy room. Nothing else down that way yet. Our next trophies will be around the other side past the Dino Hunt Corp refueling station. And I mean, can we just take a second to admire Legacy's trophy room from up here? Everything from the Carnivores 1 aesthetic to the Primal Prey style dioramas, and even these parked trophy and resupply ships. This is everything I've wanted from an ideal Carnivores trophy room experience. Our penultimate trophy today is the biggest Ornithomimus I've ever seen. A 2.21 ton specimen that I found while tracking a completely different Ornithomimus flock. I had just accidentally spooked a group of Ornithomimus with a couple of decent specimens in it, and as I started after them, a new flock emerged on the other side of this clearing, and the first one I see is this 2-ton giant. Unfortunately, there's also an Allosaurus patrolling the woods behind them, likely waiting to make its move on the flock as well. So I really need to get this elegant grazer down and claimed quickly. A spine shot drops the Ornithomimus in its tracks, and while the fleet-footed flock takes off, the Allosaurus is actually none the wiser, and seems to be headed off itself. So I hurry to rush in and claim my prize before the Allo notices the free meal lying behind it. Unfortunately, the Allosaurus finally takes notice of the carcass, and I realize I'm now gonna have to defend my kill. Luckily, the Allosaurus doesn't put up much of a fight, and I can bring my first Ornithomimus back to the trophy room. I really hope we get the chance to have more than 2 Ornithomimus in this display at some point. I love the idea of building a whole flock of these guys in here. And now, hiding behind this pillar is our last and one of the most exciting trophies for now. I finally got my first Carnivores Legacy Therizinosaurus. Just minutes after my raptor pack hunt, with the ancient temple itself still at my back, I hear the deep thudding of giant dinosaur feet. My gut instincts were telling me it's a Therizinosaurus, and seeing the beast's head pop up over the hill was a terrifying confirmation. I know it's going to guard its vital areas once provoked, so I need to sneak in a good shot while I still have the element of surprise. My sawn-off savior finishes the job. And even though it's not a giant, I'm just excited I get to add Legacy's incredible Therizinosaurus to my personal collection. Alright, that's gonna do it for this week's episode, guys. I think I'm making some decent progress on my trophy room here, and every time I return to Legacy, it still makes me more and more excited to keep coming back and adding more trophies to the gallery. But now I want to hear from you guys. What was your favorite hunt from today's video? And what exciting adventures have you had playing Carnivores Legacy? Also, how am I doing on my size record so far? I've had the classic Carnivores 1 dinosaur sizes memorized for years, so I kinda know what to shoot for with them, but I have no idea how to calculate max weight on the new Legacy dinosaurs, so let me know what your records are for these new huntables here in Legacy. And what did you guys think of the format this time? Do you like this style of hunting highlights better, or do you prefer going through the entirety of a single hunt with me? Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. Thanks again, guys, you are all truly the best, and I will see you guys next time.